Let's dive right into this explainer of a profoundly epic narrative, tracking the incredible lifelong journey of Prophet Yusuf. This is a story so perfect, so incredibly moving, that it's revered for its deep layers of human emotion, divine wisdom, and ultimate redemption. We're going to break down exactly how a young boy went from the literal bottom of a dark well to the absolute pinnacle of power in ancient Egypt, all while maintaining an unbreakable faith.
So picture this. We begin with this breathtaking hook, a childhood dream that basically sets the entire prophetic arc in motion. Young Yusuf goes to his father, Prophet Yaqub, and describes this vivid vision, 11 stars, the sun, and the moon, all bowing down to him. Now Yaqub immediately understands the magnitude of this imagery. He knows it's a divine sign of future prophethood and leadership. But instead of celebrating openly, he gives Yusuf a stark warning. Keep this hidden from your brothers. He knew that Satan is an open enemy to humanity. And honestly, sharing a dream like that could ignite a really deadly jealousy among his older siblings.
Chapter 1. Jealousy and the Dark Well. Let's see how this dangerous envy builds into an unimaginable family betrayal.
To understand this, we need to look at the cast of characters, 11 brothers in total. Now Yusuf and his younger brother Binyamin shared the same mother, who had tragically passed away. Because they were motherless and very, very young, Prophet Yaqub naturally showed them a really deep protective affection. But the older half-brothers, they grew dangerously envious. They felt they were the strong, powerful group of men who absolutely deserved their father's undivided attention, completely failing to understand the compassion behind Yaqub's special care for the youngest boys.
This brings us to a really tragic contrast. While Yaqub's love is rooted entirely in protection, the older brother's resentment boils over into a literal conspiracy. They hold a secret meeting and plot to kill Yusuf, or at least cast him away to an unknown land, just so they can monopolize their father's love. They eventually agree on a plan. Throw him into a dark well, so a passing caravan might just take him away. But to do this, they have to convince their dad to let Yusuf go out with them. And here's the twisted part. They use their father's exact fear, that a wild wolf might attack him, to construct their perfect alibi, promising they're strong enough to keep him safe.
So they actually follow through. They beat Yusuf, drop him into this desolate well, and return to their father at night crying. They present Yusuf's shirt, all stained with fake blood, claiming exactly what their father feared. A wolf ate him. But look closely at the profound wisdom of Yaqub here. He looks at the physical evidence, a blood-covered shirt that is completely intact, without a single tear, and he immediately sees right through the lie. He asks them, how did a wolf eat him but leave his shirt untorn? Knowing he can't physically fight his own grown sons, he chooses what he beautifully calls beautiful patience, relying entirely on Allah for help against their fabricated story.
Part 2. Trials in the Egyptian Palace. After being rescued by a caravan and sold as a slave, Yusuf enters a completely new world in Egypt.
He ends up in the grand palace of the Aziz, a high-ranking minister who actually hints to his wife, Zuleika, that they might adopt the boy. In this lavish palace, Allah grants Yusuf breathtaking beauty and profound wisdom. Historical accounts emphasize that he was blessed with literally half the beauty of the entire world. But this very beauty becomes a severe trial when Zuleika becomes dangerously infatuated with him as he grows into a young man.
She locks the palace doors and attempts to seduce him. But Yusuf refuses to betray his master or disobey God, and he just bolts for the door. Zuleika chases him and tears his shirt from behind just as her husband, the Aziz, suddenly appears. Zuleika instantly flips the script, accusing Yusuf of attacking her. But this brilliant step-by-step logic saves him. A wise advisor points out a simple forensic truth. If his shirt is torn from the front, he was the aggressor. But a shirt torn from the back? That proves he was running away, establishing his absolute innocence. Now, the Aziz tries to bury the scandal, but you know how it is. Rumors spread. The elite women of the city start mocking Zuleika for falling for a servant. So to justify her actions, she sets up this dramatic banquet. She invites these women, gives them fruit and incredibly sharp knives, and then commands Yusuf to walk into the room. The women are so utterly mesmerized by his otherworldly beauty that they completely lose their senses. They actually cut their own hands by accident, declaring he must be an angel. The environment becomes so intensely toxic and sinful that Yusuf actually prays for prison rather than falling into their traps. Chapter 3. Patience in the Dark Prison. To protect the palace's reputation, the completely innocent Yusuf is unjustly locked away.
Yet, even in the darkest dungeon, his character shines brightly. He preaches the oneness of God to his fellow inmates. One day, 2 prisoners come to him with these disturbing dreams. Yusuf accurately interprets them. The baker is destined to be crucified, while the winepresser will be saved and restored to his position serving the king. Yusuf just asked the winepresser for one simple favor. Hey, when you're free, just mention my unjust imprisonment to the king.
But the winepresser forgets him entirely. And this number, 7, is a really crucial turning point. Because Yusuf sought help from a man, the winepresser. Instead of relying solely on Allah in that moment of desperation, his time in that dark prison was extended by 7 long years. It's a tough but incredibly profound lesson in absolute reliance on the divine.
Part 4. The King's Vision Interpreted. Ultimately, it's a massive royal crisis that unlocks Yusuf's destiny.
The king of Egypt is haunted by this terrifying recurring dream, and his royal priests are completely stumped. The king saw 7 fat, healthy cows being devoured by 7 thin ones, alongside 7 green ears of corn and 7 dry ones. When everyone else dismisses it as a meaningless nightmare, the cupbearer finally remembers the brilliant interpreter he left behind in prison. He rushes to Yusuf, who instantly reveals the hard truth. 7 years of abundant rain and harvest will be followed by 7 devastating years of brutal famine.
But Yusuf doesn't just predict the future, he provides this brilliant economic master plan. Farm abundantly, but critically store the harvest inside the husks so it doesn't rot, and then distribute it carefully during the drought. The king is so astounded by this wisdom, he orders Yusuf's immediate release. But Yusuf says no, not until his name is fully cleared regarding Zulekha's old accusations. Once the women confess to his absolute innocence, he accepts his freedom and is actually appointed over the entire nation's treasuries. Talk about a comeback.
Chapter 5. The Test of the Brothers. When the famine strikes, it spreads everywhere, including Palestine.
And this brings us to the ultimate twist of fate. The very brothers who threw him down a well are now forced to travel to Egypt to beg for survival rations. Now, decades have passed. The brothers have absolutely no idea that this majestic minister distributing grain is the helpless boy they left for dead. But Yusuf, he recognizes them instantly. He gives them their grain, but secretly slips their money back into their bags to ensure they return, demanding they bring their youngest brother Binyamin next time if they want more food.
When they eventually do return with Binyamin, Yusuf pulls his younger brother aside and secretly reveals his identity. Then, Yusuf tests the older brothers by sneaking a royal cup into Binyamin's bag. When it's found, the brothers declare that according to their own laws, a thief must be enslaved. Suddenly, they're forced to face the horrifying reality of returning to their father without another favored son. It's a completely devastating parallel to what they did at the well.
And that brings us to this number, which holds immense emotional weight, 40. For 40 years, Prophet Yaqub wept for Yusuf. When the brothers returned without Binyamin, his grief just compounds. He cried so intensely from the sorrow that his eyes turned white. He completely lost his eyesight. Yet, his faith never wavered for a second. He commanded his sons to never ever lose hope in Allah's mercy.
Chapter 6. A Beautiful Reunion and Forgiveness. Driven by that unyielding hope and sheer starvation, the brothers return to Egypt one last desperate time.
It's right here that the ultimate emotional crescendo hits. Instead of seeking revenge against the men who ruined his childhood, Yusuf finally reveals his true identity. The brothers are absolutely terrified, expecting to be executed. But instead, Yusuf completely shatters them with grace. He says, "No blame on you today. May Allah forgive you, for He is the most merciful." He completely pardons decades of unimaginable suffering in a single breath.
Yusuf then initiates this incredible sequence of healing. He tells his brothers to take his shirt back to Palestine. Miraculously, as the caravan departs, Prophet Yaqub senses Yusuf's scent from miles away. When the brothers arrive and cast the shirt on his face, it brings immediate physical and emotional healing. His sight is restored, proving to his doubting family that his relentless trust in Allah's unseen plan was right all along. And we finally reach the full circle. Prophet Yaqub and his entire family arrive in Egypt, stepping up to the throne. In a moment of overwhelming awe, all 11 brothers fall in prostration out of deep respect. In this triumphant moment, Yusuf looks at his family and declares to his father that Allah has perfectly fulfilled that childhood dream of the stars, sun, and moon that we talked about at the very beginning of this journey. We want to leave you with this final thought to reflect on today: how divine wisdom so often hides the greatest triumphs behind the most difficult trials.
If absolute darkness and betrayal can be the very stepping stones to ultimate leadership and reunion, how does facing our own wells prepare us for our destined heights?